Hi there and welcome to Monday Magic, my series of coaching tips. Today I had a request a little while ago, but today we're therefore going to talk about decision making and how we often overcomplicate it and how we can actually make it a little bit more simple. So a big part of this tip is taken from Susan Jeffers' fantastic book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And as well as some bits and pieces and thoughts of my own and things that I use in coaching. Highly recommend going out and buying that book. It's awesome. It was written over 30 years ago, but it's so relevant still today. I spent quite a few years being a licensed trainer for Susan Jeffers' organisation, running her fear workshops here in London, and absolutely love what she wrote. Really think she's got some fantastic tools, so go and check that out. That's Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So what Susan has to say about decision making is incredibly simple, but I like it because it's simple actually. Spare no expense, I have a whiteboard magic plastic thing and a pen. And I wanted to, I think her diagram visualises it or helps you to see it quite well. So, excuse me, here is you, or me, or somebody, at a choice point. And they've got two decisions in front of them. So we've got decision A over here, and we've got decision B here. And I'm sure you know this feeling all too well. You're standing at this point and you're like, which is the right decision, which is the wrong decision? I mean, it might even be, rather than A and B, it's more like right and wrong, and we are convinced, you know, the way we've been taught that decisions are made, there is a right and there is a wrong. There is nothing else, and we agonise over it because we have to choose the right decision, and the wrong decision will be a complete disaster, and we will lose out on all these things we're supposed to have. So here's us, you know, steam coming out of our head here because we're at this point and we're kind of which way, and we drive ourselves bonkers trying to make this decision. We speak to millions of different people and confuse ourselves about it. Even when we make a decision, when we go, okay, right, this is the right decision, this is what I'm going to go with, we then immediately start questioning our decision. Maybe it's the wrong decision though. You know, we've taken it, but we're doubting ourselves. So Susan Jeffers calls this the no-win decision making, because even when you choose what you think through your agonising is the right decision, you're doubting it, and you're convinced, you're polarising it. It's got to be the right decision or the wrong decision. She talks about a different decision. She calls it the no-lose model, whereas you are here looking at your decision, but it's not a right or a wrong. It's just decision one, decision two, you know, or outcome one, outcome two. And the key thing here, well, two things really. Neither decision is wrong. They're both right, because they are both going to bring you along the way what Susan refers to as goodies, but I'm not going to write here because it comes out backwards because I'm doing this on my phone. But it's to understand that not only can you not make a wrong decision, but you're going to get these goodies, as she calls them. I would call them learnings maybe, or benefits along the way. And that is all to do with your attitude. You need to have that attitude of not suddenly second guessing as soon as you've made a decision, but just go, yeah, okay, well, I know either one of these decisions is going to bring me great things. I'm going to learn from it, even if it's, for example, a job decision. And I find out that my strength, actually, do I like it that much here? Maybe I don't. But actually it's a springboard to something else, and actually I've ruled something out. I've learnt something about it. So having the right attitude is really important. But the minute, for me, when I read this years and years ago, the first time I read her book, and I've read it tons of times since, it was like a revelation. Simple though it is, there is no wrong decision. It's only our attitude about it. It's us being convinced there's a right and a wrong decision, and that we are somehow going to lose out if we choose the wrong decision. Excuse the air quotes. So I think this is really, really useful. I use this with a lot of coaching clients because we do a lot of working through indecision in coaching. So what Susan says is the best way to think of it before you're making a decision. Focus on the no-lose model immediately, okay? So rather than there's got to be a right, there's got to be a wrong, and tying yourself up in knots about that one, focus on the no-lose model. Great. Then do your homework, she calls it. So do some research. I mean, we're not saying be completely naive, and but speak to the right people as well. Don't speak to people that are gonna, aren't really your supporters. So when you're researching, do it sensibly. Establish your priorities. So what do you want out of your life? Is this going to take you closer to it? And make sure they are your priorities and not everybody else's. We're so often kind of brought up to believe that we just do what we should do. Other people tell us to do. Society, parents, teachers, right? About so know yourself, know your priorities. Does this match with them? Okay, so I'm not saying going completely naive. Just don't polarize it into right and wrong. Do a little bit of thinking. Trust your impulses as well. Don't tie yourself up in not second guessing yourself. And the thing I love most of all that she says is lighten up. Like, really? It's not necessarily a life or death decision here. If you go in with the right attitude, you're going to get benefits from whatever decision you choose. Of course, this is all very well when you're making a decision. Then when you've made it, rather than agonize over it, she reminds us to do 3 things. Throw away the picture that we have in our head about it. I do so much work with coaching clients around expectations. I think it might have been Shakespeare, although I hope I'm not misquoting, who said expectation is the mother of all heartache. If it wasn't him, it should be. It's true. We have this picture in our head of how it should be, and if it isn't that, we're disappointed. It could be even better, but we're disappointed because it doesn't look like how we wanted it to look, how we expected it to look. So after you've made a decision, throw away the picture in your mind and just be open to it. Just be open to the good things that can come from this. Accept total responsibility. Don't be like, oh, so-and-so told me, oh, well, I blame them, all this tiny little bit here didn't work out, so that's their fault. You made the decision, go with it. And thirdly and lastly, she refers to it as correct, not protect. So what she means by that is, if you're in a decision, you made a decision, the outcome's taking you slightly off course, just correct the course. Don't kind of pretend, I made a decision, I have to stick, everything has to stick like this. Okay, be open to stuff, be open to correcting it. I love the analogy of a plane's navigation system, electronic systems, which I'm sure have got some very clever name on planes, that get them from A to B. And you would think that they go in a straight line. Hang on, A, straight line, B. But actually, what I found out from reading Susan's book is that I think it's over 90% of the time we're off course. The plane is off course and it's being nudged back in each time. Oh, it's off that side. So we are, out here and then we correct. And then whoops, a bit out here and then we correct. And the path from A to B, even on something as sophisticated as a plane's navigation system, is a series of corrections. So's our life. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean we took a wrong decision. It just means we just need to correct. So, no lose decision making is where we don't think of a wrong and a right decision and agonize over that. We go with whatever decision I make, there's going to be good come out of it. And when you go in with that attitude, the world's your oyster, really. And you're going with the right attitude of taking positive learnings from it all. One type of decision making that comes up quite a bit for clients I coach, because I do quite a bit of career coaching, is I hate my job. What should I do? Should I stay in my job? Should I leave my job? And a couple of thoughts about that, a couple of approaches. I guess there's 2 ways of looking at it, because we can agonize over this. You're in your job and you hate it, and you're telling yourself you hate it all the time, which is really, I'm sure all of us have been there at some point, and it's not fun. But when we look at it from that perspective of disliking it, we then find more we dislike about it. So firstly, is there any way that you can make your job more fun? You can get something out of it for you. You can use it to fulfill your values. values, huge thing. We talked about that in a previous session. Knowing your values is really important. Does this job meet with your values? It's really important for you to feel fulfilled, and for you to do that, there needs to be some match with your values here. It might be that you can get your values met in different ways or outside work, but there needs to be not a complete disconnect. So, is the job meeting your values? Can you make it meet your values more? Can you do something about the situation, or your attitude to the situation? Speak to some people, see if you can get some work in a different department. Can you make your job, essentially option one, can you make your job more enjoyable for you in some way? And then if you can't, the other option is, okay, think about leaving the job and think about how you're going to do that. And that's generally, as well as combined with the no-lose decision making, how I sort of work with clients to look at it, or part of what we do, is it's either make your job more enjoyable. How can you do that? Can you do that? Is it too far apart from your values? Or, okay, it really isn't, after a bit of an assessment here, it really isn't meeting my values. Something else may do more. Okay, so you've got two options, really, which makes it, again, a bit more clear cut. But again, the same with the Susan Jeffers no-lose model. Whichever one you pick, if you have the right approach to it and the right attitude, you can get learnings and benefits from it. So, the no-lose model, it makes decision making a lot less polarised, a lot less agonising. Like I say, it comes from Susan Jeffers' book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, which I cannot recommend highly enough. I promise she doesn't pay me for this. And I really hope that helps. If there are any topics you would like me to cover in these, please comment below, private message me, email me at joe@joeritchie.com. Please feel free to share if you think these tips might help somebody. I hope that you've at least got one thing that's resonated with you and that will help you and you can use daily in your life. That is the point of these, to try and share the coaching knowledge that I've built up over the years. So I hope it makes your day a little bit better. Take care. Speak to you soon.